Jake wiped the sweat from his forehead and stared at the tangle of wires in front of him. 3 years he had worked at Area 51, and still the place found new ways to surprise him. Today it was a power failure in Sublevel 7, the deepest part of the facility he had ever been to. The elevator ride down had taken 5 minutes. 5 minutes of descent into the earth, past level after level of security checkpoints and sealed doors. Jake carried his toolbox and wondered, not for the first time, what they really did down here. His job was simple: fix the electrical systems. Don't ask questions. Get paid well and go home to his small apartment in Las Vegas every weekend. It was a good job, even if it was strange sometimes. The corridor on Sublevel 7 was cold and empty. His footsteps echoed on the metal floor. Emergency lights cast everything in red shadows. Jake found the electrical panel and opened it. The circuits inside looked normal at first glance. Then he saw it. Someone had bypassed the safety systems. Wires were connected in ways that made no sense. "What idiot did this?" Jake muttered to himself. He began disconnecting the wrong connections, replacing them with proper ones. It was delicate work. One wrong move and he could trigger a facility-wide blackout. As he worked, he heard voices down the hall. They were coming from a large set of doors he had not noticed before. The doors were marked with symbols he did not recognize. Curiosity pulled at him, but he focused on his work. Don't ask questions. That was the rule. His hand slipped. A wire sparked against the panel. Jake jerked back, but the damage was done. A surge of electricity shot through the system. The lights flickered, then something else happened. The large doors down the hall began to glow. A deep humming sound filled the air, growing louder and louder. Jake grabbed his toolbox and ran toward the doors. If he had caused this, he needed to fix it fast. The doors slid open as he approached. Jake stopped and stared. Beyond the doors was a chamber so large he could not see the far wall. In the center stood a massive circular structure, 3 stories tall. It was made of some kind of metal that seemed to shift colors in the light. Symbols covered every inch of its surface, and they were glowing brighter by the second. "What the hell is that?" Jake whispered. People in lab coats rushed around the chamber. Computers beeped and flashed warnings. A woman with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun was shouting orders. She saw Jake standing in the doorway. "You get out of here. This is a restricted area," she yelled. "I'm the electrician. I think I caused this," Jake called back. The woman's expression changed from anger to alarm. She ran toward him. "You caused the power surge." "Yeah, I'm sorry. I can fix it." "There's no time for that now. Stay here and don't touch anything." The woman ran back to her team. Jake watched as the circular structure hummed louder. The symbols were so bright now he had to squint. Then, with a sound like thunder, the center of the structure filled with light. No, not light. It was like looking at a piece of the sky that had been torn open. Through the opening, Jake could see another place. Purple skis. Strange buildings that spiraled up like twisted metal trees. It was beautiful and terrifying. "The gate is stable," someone shouted. "Get Colonel Bishop down here now," the gray-haired woman ordered. Jake could not move. He stared at the portal, his mind struggling to understand what he was seeing. This was not Earth. This was somewhere else, somewhere far away. Within minutes, soldiers filled the chamber. They set up a perimeter around the gate, weapons pointed at the swirling portal. A man in a military uniform walked through the chaos like he owned the place. He had silver hair and cold blue eyes. This had to be Colonel Bishop. "Dr. Price, report," the colonel said. The gray-haired woman, apparently Dr. Price, pulled out a tablet. "The gate activated due to an unexpected power surge. It's created a stable connection to coordinates we haven't accessed before. The readings show a breathable atmosphere and Earth-like gravity on the other side. Can we send a probe through?" "Already done. The probe is transmitting data now. Colonel, this could be a major discovery. We need to assemble a team." Colonel Bishop looked at the gate for a long moment. Then his eyes found Jake, still standing near the entrance with his toolbox. "Who's that?" he asked. "The electrician who caused the surge," Dr. Price said. The colonel walked over to Jake. Up close, he was even more intimidating. "What's your name, son?" "Jake, sir." "You understand everything you see here is classified, correct?" "Yes, sir." "Good. Do you understand the power systems in this facility?" Jake nodded slowly. "Most of them, yes, sir." Colonel Bishop turned to Dr. Price. "We need someone who can maintain power to the gate from the other side if necessary. Add him to the team." Jake's stomach dropped. "Wait, what, the team?" "We're going through that gate, and you're coming with us." "Sir, I'm just an electrician. I fix power lines. I don't do whatever this is." "You do now. This is a matter of national security. We need to know what's on the other side of that gate, and we need to know now. You'll be briefed in 1 hour. Report to conference room 3. The colonel walked away. Jake stood frozen, his mind racing. Dr. Price put a hand on his shoulder. "Welcome to the real Area 51, mister. The parts they don't tell stories about." The next hour passed in a blur. Jake sat in a small room while people explained things he barely understood. The gate had been found in the Nevada desert 6 months ago. They had been studying it ever since. This was the first time it had fully activated. They had no idea what was on the other side or if it was safe. The team would consist of 5 people. Colonel Bishop would lead. Dr. Price would handle any communication with possible alien species. A man named Ben Cole, a former Marine, would provide security. A young scientist named Amy would analyze any biological or chemical hazards, and Jake would keep the power running. They gave him a uniform, a radio, and a small sidearm he had no idea how to use. Ben showed him the basics in 5 minutes. "Point and shoot. Try not to hit any of us," Ben said with a grin. Jake did not feel like grinning back. They stood before the gate. Beyond the swirling portal, the alien world waited. Jake's hands shook as he gripped his equipment pack. This morning he had been worried about paying rent. Now he was about to step through a doorway to another planet. "Move out," Colonel Bishop ordered. One by one, the team walked into the light. When Jake's turn came, he took a deep breath and stepped forward. The world twisted around him. He felt like he was being pulled through water, through air, through nothing and everything at once. Then his feet touched solid ground. The pulling sensation stopped. Jake opened his eyes and saw purple skis stretched above him. 2 moons hung in the alien sky. He was not on Earth anymore. The air felt thick in Jake's lungs, like breathing through a wet cloth. He gasped and forced himself to take slow breaths. Around him, the rest of the team was doing the same. Dr. Price pulled out a device and checked the readings. "Air is safe. Higher oxygen content than Earth. We might feel a bit lightheaded at first," she said. Jake looked around. They stood on a platform made of the same strange metal as the gate. The platform was part of a larger structure, some kind of building or temple. Beyond it, a city stretched in all directions, but this was not like any city Jake had ever seen. The buildings were enormous, each one at least 10 stories tall but with doorways that could fit a house. They curved and twisted upward like they had grown instead of being built. Vines with glowing blue flowers covered everything. The whole place looked like nature and technology had merged together. "Stay close. Stay alert," Colonel Bishop ordered. He had his rifle ready, scanning the area. Ben moved ahead, checking corners and shadows. Jake stayed in the middle of the group, trying not to panic. Amy pulled out sample containers and began collecting plant material. "This vegetation isn't like anything on Earth," Amy said, her voice shaking with excitement or fear. "Maybe both. The cellular structure is completely different." They moved through the city carefully. Every step echoed in the empty streets. The buildings towered over them like silent giants. Jake noticed scratch marks on some walls, old bloodstains on the ground. Something bad had happened here. "Where is everyone?" Jake asked. "That's what we're here to find out," Dr. Price replied. A sound made them all freeze. It was high-pitched, almost like singing. It came from above. Jake looked up and saw something flying between the buildings. It was shaped like a bird but wrong somehow. Too many wings, eyes that glowed red. "Contact," Ben shouted. "Multiple targets airborne." More of the flying creatures appeared. They circled overhead, watching the team. Jake counted at least 20 of them. "Hold fire unless they attack," Colonel Bishop ordered. "Dr. Price, any ideas?" Dr. Price studied the creatures through binoculars. They might be drones, automated security systems, or they could be living creatures. I can't tell from here. The creatures continued to circle but did not attack. After a tense minute, they flew away, disappearing into the upper levels of the city. "Keep moving. We need to find shelter before dark," the colonel said. They made their way to what looked like a smaller building near the gate platform. The entrance was large but not as massive as the others. Ben went in first, his weapon light cutting through the darkness inside. He came back out and nodded. "Clear, looks like some kind of storage facility." Inside, they found rows of metal containers. Most were empty, but some held objects they could not identify. Strange tools, devices that hummed when they touched them. Dr. Price's eyes lit up when she found a shelf of crystal tablets. "Data storage," she said, carefully picking one up. "If I can figure out how to read these, we might learn what happened here." Ben set up a perimeter by the entrance. Amy started running tests on everything. Jake checked the power readings from the gate. It was stable for now, but he noticed something odd. The power was draining faster than it should. "Colonel, we have a problem," Jake said. "The gate is losing power. At this rate, we have maybe 48 hours before it closes." Colonel Bishop's jaw tightened. "Can you fix it?" "Maybe, if I can find the power source on this side. But I'll need time." "We don't have time. We need to gather intel and get back." Before anyone could respond, an alarm blared through the building. Red lights flashed on the walls. The doors began to seal themselves. "Trap!" Ben yelled. They ran for the exit, but the door was closing fast. Ben dove through, pulling Amy with him. Dr. Price made it. Jake was right behind her. Colonel Bishop was last. The door slammed shut just as he rolled through, catching his backpack. He cut the straps and left it behind. Outside, they heard movement. Lots of movement. From the shadows between buildings, figures emerged. They walked on two legs like humans, but that was where the similarity ended. They had scaled skin in shades of green and gray. 4 arms, each ending in 3-fingered hands. Their heads were angular with large eyes that reflected light like a cat's. "Weapons ready," Colonel Bishop ordered quietly. The creatures surrounded them. There were at least 30 of them. They carried weapons that looked like spears with glowing tips. One of them, larger than the others, stepped forward. It spoke in a language of clicks and hisses. Dr. Price fumbled with a device at her belt. "My translator needs a moment. Don't make any sudden moves." The large creature spoke again, more insistent this time. Its companions raised their weapons. "Price, any time now," Ben said, his rifle aimed at the nearest creature. The translator device beeped. The creature's words came through in choppy English. Why here, this place? Death, you should. Run." Dr. Price spoke into the translator. "We come in peace. We mean no harm." The creature tilted its head. It looked at each human carefully. Then it spoke again. "You not Dominion. What are you?" "We are humans from another world. The gate brought us here," Dr. Price said. The creatures murmured among themselves. The large one stepped closer. Jake could smell it now, like copper and dust. "Humans, never heard this word, you small, weak-looking, but you have. Fire weapons, strange." The creature gestured at their guns. We are, this our city now. The old one's gone." "What happened to them?" Dr. Price asked. His eyes dimmed. The Dominion came. They came with ships that covered sky. They killed everyone. We came after. We hide here. We survivors too. This Dominion, who are they? Colonel Bishop asked. Death conquerors, they rule galaxy. Many worlds, many peoples, all serve or die. We ran, now we hide. Looked at the sky. Your gate made noise, bright light. Dominion will see, they will come. Amy grabbed Dr. Price's arm. Did he just say they rule the galaxy? That's what the translator is saying, yes. Dr. Price replied, her face pale. Colonel Bishop processed this information quickly. How long before they arrive? Maybe one day, maybe less. Your people should go back through gate, seal it, hide your world. We can't. The gate is losing power, Jake said. We need at least 2 days to stabilize it. Looked at Jake for a long moment. Then he made a sound that might have been a laugh. Then you die here with us. Dominion does not leave witnesses. Maybe we can help each other, Dr. Price said. You know this place. We have weapons and technology you've never seen. Together we might survive. The leader considered this. Around them the other were talking amongst themselves. Some looked angry, others looked curious. You fight Dominion, you tiny things? Asked. Colonel Bishop stepped forward. We humans have been fighting wars since before we could write. We don't scare easily. If this Dominion wants a fight, we'll give them one. Stared at the colonel. Then he raised one of his 4 arms in what might have been respect. You brave, stupid but brave, come, we show you city, we talk more. But when Dominion comes, you will see, bravery not enough. They lowered their weapons, led them deeper into the city. As they walked, Jake noticed more emerging from hiding places. There were hundreds of them. They looked at the humans with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Colonel, what have we gotten ourselves into? Ben asked quietly. Something bigger than Area 51, that's for sure, the colonel replied. Jake looked up at the purple sky. Somewhere up there an enemy was coming, an enemy that had conquered a galaxy, and somehow he was supposed to help stop them. His normal job seemed very far away now. They had made their base in what used to be some kind of central building. It was less damaged than the others, with most of its walls still intact. Inside, Jake saw how they lived. They had divided the space into sections with cloth and scavenged materials. Families huddled together. Children, smaller versions of the adults with brighter colored scales, watched the humans with wide eyes. Led them to a large room with a table made from a broken wall panel. He gestured for them to sit. The furniture was too big for humans, so Jake felt like a child sitting at an adult's table. We talk now, you won't survive, you listen, said. Dr. Price activated her recording device. We're listening. Dominion is 6 races, 6 worlds that joined together long ago. They have ships, weapons, soldiers beyond counting. They move from system to system, taking what they want. Some species join them, most get destroyed. We said no. They burned our world. How many survived? Colonel Bishop asked. My tribe, maybe 500 here, other tribes on other dead worlds, maybe 1,000 total, out of billions. His voice grew quiet. Dominion does not accept surrender after you resist. They make examples. Amy was taking notes frantically. What about this species, the ones who built this city? They were first to resist, long ago. They built gates to connect free peoples. They fought Dominion for 100 cycles. They lost, but their gates remain. We use them to hide, to move between dead worlds. Jake leaned forward. So the gate we came through is part of a network. Yes, many gates, many dead worlds. Dominion cannot watch them all. Dr. Price and Colonel Bishop exchanged looks. Jake could see them thinking the same thing. If Earth's gate connected to this network, the Dominion might find it eventually. When will they arrive? Ben asked. As if in answer, a sound filled the air. It was like thunder but constant, growing louder. Jumped up, his eyes wide. Now they hear now. The team rushed outside. In the purple sky, a ship was descending. It was massive, easily the size of an aircraft carrier. The hull was dark and covered in weapons. Smaller ships flew around it like insects around a streetlight. "They faster than I thought," said. "We must hide, come." "Wait," Colonel Bishop said. He pulled out a radio. "Bishop to base, come in." Static, then a voice. "Base here. Colonel, what's your status?" "We have hostile contact. Alien warship. I need every piece of intel we have on aerial combat tactics, and I need it transmitted to this location now." "Sir, are you saying?" "That's an order. Bishop out." The colonel looked at his team. "We're not hiding. We're going to show them what humans can do." Stared at him. "You insane. That ship carries 200 soldiers, weapons that melt stone. You are 5 small beings." "Yeah, but we're 5 small beings who are really good at making things explode," Ben said with a grin. Jake wanted to argue. He wanted to say they should run, but he looked at the gate in the distance and knew the truth. If the Dominion got to the gate, they could trace it back to Earth. They had to protect it. "What do you need me to do?" Jake asked. Colonel Bishop put a hand on his shoulder. "That's the spirit. Jake, Amy, you two find the power source for this city. If they built this place, they built it to fight. There has to be defenses we can use. Ben, you and I will set up an ambush. Dr. Price, see if you can access their communications. Know what they're saying." "And me?" asked. "Get your people ready to fight. We're going to teach you how humans do war." The next 2 hours were chaos. Jake and Amy ran through the city, following power cables Jake could detect with his equipment. They found it in a building near the city's center. A massive reactor, still functional after all these years. It was unlike anything on Earth. Instead of nuclear or chemical power, it seemed to run on some kind of contained energy field. "Can you activate it?" Amy asked. Jake studied the controls. They were designed for beings much larger than him, but the logic was similar to what he knew. "I think so. Give me 10 minutes." While he worked, Amy explored the chamber. She found something and called out, "Jake, you need to see this." He ran over. Amy had found a console with a still-active screen. On it were symbols that shifted and changed. "The translator is picking this up," Amy said. "It's a defensive system. Automated weapons built into the city structure. They're offline but intact. Can we turn them on? If you can get power to them." Jake ran back to the reactor. His hands flew over the controls. He was guessing half the time, but something about the system made sense to him. It was logical, methodical. He found the main power distribution and began rerouting it. Come on," he muttered. With a deep hum, the reactor came to life. Lights flickered on throughout the building. The console Amy was at lit up fully. "We have power," Amy shouted. "The weapons are online. I'm getting them ready." Outside, the Dominion ship had landed. Soldiers were pouring out. They were different species, all in matching armor. They moved with the confidence of conquerors. Ben and Colonel Bishop watched from a rooftop. "Now I see why they rule the galaxy," Ben said. "Look at that discipline." "Discipline can be a weakness," the colonel replied. "They expect order, we give them chaos." The colonel had sent coordinates back to base. Within minutes, Area 51 had transmitted every guerrilla warfare manual they had. Ben was speed-reading them on a tablet. They had spread throughout the city under his command. They were skeptical but willing. Ben had shown them simple tactics: hit and run, use the environment, never fight fair. The Dominion soldiers began their sweep of the city. They moved in tight formations, checking every building methodically. They did not expect resistance. This was supposed to be a simple investigation. The first mine went off under a squad of 6 soldiers. Ben had rigged it from materials in his pack and alien power cells Jake had provided. The explosion scattered the formation. Before they could recover, attacked from the buildings above. They threw crude explosives Jake had helped them make. More importantly, they fought like Ben had taught them: strike fast, disappear, strike again. The Dominion soldiers returned fire. Their weapons were devastating, cutting through stone like paper, but they were shooting at shadows that were already gone. Phase 1 is working, Colonel Bishop reported over the radio. Jake, how are those defenses? Almost ready, Jake replied. He watched Amy's hands flying over the controls. Amy, we need them now. Got it, Amy slammed a button. Throughout the city, hidden weapon systems activated. They had been dormant for years, waiting. Panels in walls slid open. Automated turrets rose from the ground. They locked onto the Dominion soldiers and fired. The Dominion had not expected this. Their formations broke. Soldiers scrambled for cover. Their commander was shouting orders, trying to restore order. Dr. Price, listening to their communications, smiled. They're confused. They don't understand what's happening. They thought this was a dead city. Fought alongside Ben, using the tactics the human had taught him. He was learning fast. So were the other. They started anticipating enemy movements, setting better ambushes. But the Dominion was adapting too. They called in their ships. Bombers began strafing runs over the city. We need to take out those ships, Colonel Bishop said. Jake had an idea, a crazy idea. Colonel, the weapon systems, they were designed to fight ships. If I can redirect all the city's power to them. Do it. Jake worked frantically. He was redirecting power from life support, from lights, from everything non-essential. The city went dark. Then bright blue energy arced from the tallest buildings. The beams cut through the air and struck the Dominion bombers. 2 ships exploded. A third crashed into the city's outskirts. The remaining ships pulled back. It's working, Amy cheered. But Jake saw the problem. We can't sustain this. The power draw is too much. We get maybe 2 more shots before the reactor overloads. On the ground, the Dominion soldiers were regrouping. Their commander had figured out the pattern. They were preparing a coordinated assault. Colonel Bishop made a decision. All units fall back to the gate, fighting retreat. We hold them long enough for Jake to stabilize the gate, then we're going home. The team and the fought their way back through the city. It was a running battle. Every corner was a potential ambush point. Ben taught them to use crossfire, to create kill zones. They were learning human tactics fast. They reached the gate platform. Jake immediately started working on the power system. He needed to buy them time to get back home. The Dominion commander appeared with his remaining forces. He was a tall being with blue skin and 4 eyes. He spoke, and Dr. Price's translator picked it up. You fight well for primitives, but this ends now. Surrender and we will make your death quick. Colonel Bishop stepped forward. Let me tell you something about humans. We don't surrender, ever. And we just showed you that we can hurt you. Go back to your Dominion masters and tell them. Tell them that Earth is out here, and if they come for us, we'll do a lot worse than hurt them. The commander laughed. Earth? Never heard of it. Another primitive world thinking itself important. When we return, we will find your gate's coordinates. We will find your world, and we will burn it. You can try, the colonel said. Jake finished the last connection. Gates ready, go, go, go. The team ran for the gate. The provided covering fire, stood with them, fighting like a demon with his 4 arms wielding captured weapons. As Jake stepped through, he looked back. The Dominion soldiers were advancing, but they were holding. They had learned well. The transition through the gate was just as disorienting as before. Jake emerged in the facility on Earth. Alarms were blaring. The gate was unstable. Shut it down, Colonel Bishop ordered. Jake hit the emergency shutdown. The gate flickered and died. They were home, safe. But Jake knew this was just the beginning. The Dominion knew about them now, and somewhere in the galaxy they were coming. The debriefing lasted 6 hours. Jake sat in a conference room deep under Area 51 while generals, scientists, and people whose titles he didn't understand asked question after question. What did the aliens look like? How advanced was their technology? Could we defend against them? Jake answered as best he could, but his mind kept drifting back to one thing: the Dominion commander's promise. They would find Earth. When the debriefing finally ended, Jake found Dr. Price in her lab. She was studying the data they had brought back: images of the alien city, recordings of the Dominion soldiers, translations of their communications. "Can't sleep either?" she asked without looking up. "Every time I close my eyes, I see those ships," Jake admitted. He sat down on a nearby chair. "We barely survived against one small patrol. What happens when they send a real fleet?" Dr. Price finally looked at him. Her eyes were tired but determined. "That's what we need to figure out. But Jake, we learned something important today. We can fight them. We hurt them. That matters." Colonel Bishop walked into the lab. "Gather everyone. Conference room in 5 minutes. We have a decision to make." The team assembled quickly. Even Ben, who Jake had last seen getting his shoulder bandaged, was there. Amy looked exhausted but alert. Colonel Bishop pulled up a holographic display. It showed the gate and dozens of connection points spreading from it. "The gate is more than we thought," the colonel began. "Thanks to Dr. Price's analysis, we now know it connects to 47 different locations. Most are dead worlds like the one we visited. Some might have survivors. All of them are part of this old resistance network." "What are you suggesting?" Dr. Price asked. "I spoke with the Joint Chiefs. We have 2 options. Option 1, seal the gate permanently, destroy it if necessary, hide and hope the Dominion never finds us." "That's the coward's option," Ben said. "Maybe, but it keeps Earth safe for now." The colonel paused. "Option 2, we reopen the gate, we contact the survivors, we rebuild the resistance network, we fight." Jake felt his stomach tighten. "Fight? Colonel, they control the galaxy." "They control it because no one is fighting back anymore. The species that survived are scattered and hiding. But what if we could bring them together? What if we taught them what we taught the—" Amy spoke up quietly. "It's insane. We're one planet against a galactic empire." "Yes," Colonel Bishop agreed. "But we're one planet they don't know about. One planet with centuries of experience in warfare. We humans have been fighting each other since the beginning. We know every dirty trick, every tactic, every way to win when you're outnumbered and—" Dr. Price stood up. "I vote we fight. The Dominion found the gate once. They can find it again. We can't hide forever. Better to fight on our terms." Ben nodded. "I'm in. Someone needs to teach these aliens what a bad day looks like." Everyone looked at Jake and Amy. Jake thought about his normal life, his apartment, his quiet job. All of that was gone now, wasn't it? Whether they fought or hid, nothing would ever be normal again. "They helped us," Jake said slowly. "They didn't have to. If we leave them to die alone, what does that make us?" He took a breath. "I'm in." Amy was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. "We'll need to weaponize everything. Their biology, their technology, our technology. If we're doing this, we do it smart." Colonel Bishop smiled. "Then it's unanimous. As of now, you're all part of Project Gateway. Jake, you're in charge of all technical systems. Amy, you head up weapons research. Dr. Price, you're our diplomat. Ben, you're training commander. You'll report directly to me." Over the next week, Area 51 transformed. They reopened the gate for brief periods, sending probes through to different locations. Some worlds were truly dead. Others had small populations of survivors. Slowly, carefully, they made contact. Jake found himself teaching alien engineers how human technology worked. It was strange at first. He had to explain concepts that seemed obvious to him but were completely foreign to them. But it went both ways. The alien technology taught him new approaches he had never considered. The breakthrough came when Jake was working with an engineer named, was one of the last of his species, living on a remote outpost. "Human technology is so modular," said, his translation device making his voice sound like wind chimes. "You build in pieces. We grew our technology like plants. Both have value. What if we combined them? Jake asked. They spent 3 days on the idea. The result was a hybrid power system that was more efficient than anything either species had made alone. News of the invention spread through the Gate network. Other survivors began sharing their own technology. Amy's work was even more revolutionary. She discovered that human biology was unique in the galaxy. Humans carried bacteria and viruses that were harmless to them but could be devastating to some Dominion species. She developed weapons that exploited this. "I'm literally weaponizing the common cold," Amy said with a mixture of horror and fascination. Ben's training program was perhaps the most important. He brought and members of 3 other species together and taught them human combat tactics, guerrilla warfare, psychological operations, how to make the enemy afraid. Was his best student. The had returned through the gate to join the resistance. He learned everything Ben taught him and added his own innovations. Dominion expects honorable combat, explained to a group of trainees. We give them chaos. We give them fear. We make them understand that every step in this fight costs them. Dr. Price worked on the most delicate task. She established communication protocols with all the survivor groups. She created a council where each species had a voice. For the first time in decades, the scattered remnants of the Dominion's victims were working together. But in the background, Jake noticed something. Every time they opened the gate, Earth was exposed. The Dominion could be tracking them, could be preparing. His fears were confirmed 2 weeks into the project. They had opened a gate to what was supposed to be an abandoned world. Instead, they found a Dominion garrison waiting. The soldiers poured through the gate before they could shut it down. Alarms screamed through Area 51. Jake ran for the control room as security teams rushed to confront the invaders. The fighting was brutal. The Dominion soldiers were better equipped and better trained than Earth's security forces, but they didn't expect the ferocity of human defense. Ben led the counterattack, using every trick he had learned. Jake reached the controls and tried to shut down the gate, but the Dominion had jammed it somehow. The gate stayed open. More soldiers kept coming through. "I need 2 minutes," Jake shouted over the sounds of gunfire. "You've got one," Ben replied, falling back with his team. Jake's hands flew over the controls. He couldn't shut down the gate normally, so he did something insane. He overloaded it, pushed so much power through the system that it had to shut down or explode. The gate flickered, sparked, then collapsed with a sound like breaking glass. The remaining Dominion soldiers were cut off from reinforcements. Without support, they were overwhelmed by Earth's forces. But the damage was done. The Dominion knew Earth's location now. They knew exactly where to find the gate. Colonel Bishop gathered everyone in the command center. His face was grim. "They're coming. Our intelligence says a Dominion war fleet is being assembled. 3 capital ships, dozens of support vessels, and thousands of soldiers. They'll be here within 2 weeks. The room went silent. Amy looked like she might be sick. Dr. Price gripped her chair tightly. Even Ben seemed shaken. "We can evacuate," someone suggested. "Shut down the facility, scatter the team. And let them destroy the gate and hunt us down anyway." Colonel Bishop shook his head. "No, we stand and fight. We make this the battle that starts the resistance for real." "We can't win," Amy said quietly. "Not against 3 capital ships." Jake stood up. An idea was forming in his mind. A crazy, probably impossible idea. "What if we don't fight them here?" he said. Everyone looked at him. "The gate network connects to dozens of worlds. What if we use that? What if we make them chase us through the entire network? Every world they follow us to, they face more resistance. We turn their own strength against them." Dr. Price's eyes widened. "A mobile defense. We lure them through gate after gate, bleeding them with each encounter. And at each world, our allies hit them with everything we've taught them," Ben added, catching on. They'll be fighting a different type of battle at each location. It could work, Colonel Bishop said slowly, but it means bringing the fight to our allies' doorsteps. Some of those worlds will be destroyed. They're already destroyed, said. He had been standing quietly in the corner. Better they serve as than graveyards. I vote we fight. The vote was unanimous again. They had 2 weeks to prepare, 2 weeks to set the biggest trap the galaxy had ever seen. Jake looked at the holographic display of the gate network. It looked like a web, and Earth was the spider at the center. Soon, the Dominion would come, and they would learn what happened when you made humans angry. Let's get to work, Colonel Bishop said. We have a war to win. The 2 weeks passed like a blur. Jake barely slept. He spent every waking hour modifying the gate network, preparing it for the plan. Each gate was now rigged with a dead man's switch. If things went wrong, he could blow them all and cut the network forever. Colonel Bishop had requested reinforcements from the military. The response was beyond anything Jake expected. A full Marine battalion came through the gate, along with tanks, artillery, and air support. The President herself had addressed them before they left. "You're not just defending Area 51, she had said in the video message. You're defending all of humanity. Show them what we're made of." Dr. Price had worked day and night coordinating with the other species. Each world in the network now had a plan. They would provide ground forces. The remnants would handle technical sabotage. 3 other species contributed their own unique abilities. It was a small army, but it was united. Amy had developed weapons specifically designed to counter Dominion biology, aerosol dispersers that carried modified human viruses, chemical compounds that reacted with Dominion armor. She looked haunted by what she had created but didn't stop working. Ben had trained everyone he could. Human Marines learning from warriors, engineers teaching humans about energy weapons. The facility had become a melting pot of species and skills. The Dominion arrived exactly on schedule. Their ships dropped out of hyperspace like falling stars. 3 massive capital ships, each one a kilometer long. Dozens of smaller vessels surrounded them. The fleet cast a shadow over Area 51. Jake stood in the control room, his hand on the gate controls. Through the window, he could see the sky darkening with alien ships. "All units, this is Bishop. Execute Phase 1, the colonel's voice came through the speakers. The gate activated, but instead of letting the Dominion through to Earth, Jake redirected it. The gate's coordinates shifted to the first, a dead world that had prepared. The Dominion fleet detected the gate energy and moved to investigate. That was the bait. "Come on, take it," Jake muttered. The Dominion commander took the bait. The fleet entered a formation and prepared to send forces through the gate to investigate. But what they found was not an empty facility. They found hell. They were waiting with weapons the humans had helped them build. Improvised explosives, modified plasma weapons, and most importantly, tactics that the Dominion had never seen before. Jake watched through a probe feed as the first Dominion landed. Immediately, it was hit by crossfire from 3 directions. The soldiers who survived the initial assault found themselves in a maze of tunnels that had prepared. Every turn was a kill zone. "Phase 1 is successful," Dr. Price reported. "Dominion forces are engaged. They're taking heavy casualties." "Good, let them think that's all we have," Colonel Bishop said. "Jake, prepare Phase 2. Jake redirected the gate again, this time to a world where they had set up their surprise. The Dominion fleet followed the gate's signal, angry now and determined to crush the resistance. The second world was a trap of a different kind. They had turned the entire planet's defensive grid back on. Ancient weapons systems that had been dormant for years suddenly came to life. The Dominion ships found themselves under attack from every direction. "They're losing ships," Amy called out. 2 destroyers down, 1 capital ship damaged. But the Dominion was learning. They adapted their tactics, focused their fire, and pushed through. The resistance couldn't hold forever. Phase 3 now, Colonel Bishop ordered. Jake shifted the gate again, and again, each time to a new world, each time to a new trap. The Dominion fleet was being pulled deeper and deeper into the network, taking losses at every step. But they kept coming. They were too proud to retreat. By the fifth world, the Dominion commander made a mistake. He split his fleet, sending forces to multiple gates at once to catch the resistance. It was a tactical error born of frustration. "Now we have them," Ben said with a savage grin. "Divide and conquer. That's a human lesson they just learned the hard way." The split forces were easier to handle. On one world, human artillery tore apart a landing force. On another, ambushes destroyed an entire battalion. The Dominion was bleeding, but they were still coming. Finally, after 7 worlds and countless battles, Jake redirected the gate back to Earth, but not to the original facility, to a location in the Nevada desert they had prepared specifically for this moment. "This is it," Colonel Bishop said. "The final stand, all forces positions." The Dominion fleet emerged over Earth, battered but still dangerous. One capital ship remained along with a handful of support vessels, but they had lost more than half their forces. The Dominion commander broadcast a message. Dr. Price translated it. "Primitives of Earth, you have cost us much, but your resistance ends now. Surrender and we will make your species into slaves. Refuse and we will burn your world." Colonel Bishop picked up the radio. "Jake, patch me through to their ship." "You're on," Jake confirmed. "Dominion Commander, this is Colonel Frank Bishop of Earth. Let me tell you a story. For thousands of years, humans have been fighting. We've fought over land, resources, beliefs, and sometimes just because we were bored. We've made warfare into an art form. And you know what we learned? We learned that size doesn't matter. Technology doesn't matter. What matters is the will to never give up." "Your words are meaningless," the commander replied. "You cannot win." "We already have," Colonel Bishop said. "You came here with 3 capital ships. You have 1 left. You came with thousands of soldiers. Most are dead or scattered across a dozen worlds. And most importantly, you came here thinking we were primitives, but we're not. We're humans, and we fight." On the colonel's signal, the trap was sprung. Hidden missile batteries across the desert opened fire. Human fighter jets, modified with technology from 5 different species, screamed through the sky. The Marines opened up with everything they had. But the real surprise came from Jake. He had spent weeks studying the Dominion ship systems from the data they had captured. He found a weakness. Their command ships relied on a central computer to coordinate everything. "Amy, release the package," Jake said. Amy launched a missile different from all the others. It didn't carry explosives. It carried a virus. A computer virus developed by combining human hacking techniques with technological knowledge. The missile hit the capital ship's hull and deployed thousands of nanodrones that burrowed into the ship systems. The effect was immediate. The capital ship's shields flickered. Its weapons stopped firing. The ship began to drift. "I'm in," Jake said, his fingers flying across a keyboard. "I have access to their systems." He could have destroyed the ship, but Jake had a better idea. He broadcast a message across every Dominion channel, every ship, every outpost, every world they controlled. "People of the galaxy," his voice echoed through the translation systems. "My name is Jake. I'm from Earth. You don't know us yet, but you will. For too long, the Dominion has ruled through fear. They told you there was no hope. They told you resistance was futile. They lied." The images from all 7 battles played on every screen. The fighting with fury. The using their ancient weapons. Humans and aliens working together. Victory after victory. "This is what we did with 5 species and a few thousand soldiers. Imagine what we can do with millions, with all of you. The Dominion is not invincible. They can be beaten. And Earth stands ready to help anyone who wants to fight for their freedom." The message ended. For a moment there was silence across the galaxy. Then responses started coming in, from hidden colonies, from enslaved worlds, from species the Dominion thought were broken. They wanted to fight. The Dominion commander, watching his fleet crumble and his authority challenged, made one last desperate move. He ordered all remaining ships to ram the Earth facility. "Incoming," Ben shouted. But they were ready, and his warriors had positioned themselves with the human-modified weapons. They opened fire with everything they had. One ship exploded. Another crashed in the desert. The capital ship, with Jake still in its systems, suddenly changed course. The Dominion crew tried to regain control, but Jake had locked them out. The ship turned and fled into space, broadcasting the Resistance message on repeat as it went. The battle was over. Earth had won. Jake collapsed in his chair, exhausted. Around him, the control room erupted in cheers. Dr. Price was crying and laughing at the same time. Amy hugged anyone near her. Ben just grinned like a madman. Colonel Bishop stood at the window, watching the sun rise over the Nevada desert. Smoke rose from a dozen crash sites, but they had held. "Sir, we're getting messages from all over the galaxy," a communications officer reported. "Hundreds of species want to join the resistance." The colonel nodded slowly. "Then we have work to do." 6 months later, Jake stood on the surface of the moon. They were building a new gate here, bigger and better than the one at Area 51. Around him, humans and aliens worked side by side. They had become close allies. They were sharing technology freely. 36 other species had joined the growing resistance. Earth had become the center of something bigger than anyone had imagined. Not an empire like the Dominion, but a true alliance. Different species working together because they chose to, not because they were forced to. Dr. Price ran the diplomatic corps now, with representatives from 50 worlds. Amy headed up a medical exchange program that was saving lives across the galaxy. Ben commanded a multi-species special forces unit that was liberating worlds one by one. And Jake, the electrician who just wanted a normal job, was now the chief engineer of humanity's expansion into the stars. "How does it feel?" Colonel Bishop, now General Bishop, asked him, "being the man who changed everything?" Jake looked up at the Earth hanging in the space above them. "Terrifying, amazing, impossible, all of it." "That's what being human is all about," the general said. "We do impossible things because someone has to, and usually we do them because no one else believed it could be done." A worker approached them. It was, now wearing a uniform that marked him as a commander in the Joint Resistance Forces. "The new gate is ready," reported. 40 new worlds will be connected by tomorrow. The Dominion is pulling back from the outer territories. They fear us now." "Good," General Bishop said. "Fear is the beginning of respect, and respect is the beginning of negotiation. Maybe someday we won't have to fight anymore." "Maybe," Jake agreed. "But until then we keep building, keep fighting, keep showing the galaxy what humans do best." "And what is that?" asked. Jake smiled. "We survive, we adapt, and we never ever give up." The gate on the moon activated, connecting Earth to worlds humans had never dreamed of. The resistance was growing. The Dominion was retreating. And humanity, the newcomers to the galactic stage, had proven something important. They had proven that sometimes the smallest species could have the biggest impact, that courage and creativity mattered more than size or technology, and that when humans said they would fight for freedom, they meant it. Jake's normal job seemed like a lifetime ago now, but standing here, watching humanity reach for the stars alongside their new allies, he realized something. This was better than normal. This was extraordinary. And it was only the beginning. The galaxy had met humanity, and the galaxy would never be the same again.